much for all. So we are starting this event, International Dialogue on Good Sustainability Practice, and for the fourth event of the Mediterranean and Sustainable Development Theory and Good Practice. And I am very proud to have so many people involved in these issues. And so I hope that we have a lot of new ideas about these topics. And I give immediately the speech to Professor Francesco Carlo Morabito, Vice Rector for the Internationalization, and he will be the chair for this part of the event. And then I follow him because he has he can stay here just for a while. Thank you. Please, Francesco, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefano, for this kind invitation. As you mentioned, this is the fourth event of the program Mediterranea and Sustainable Development Festival. I would like to thank both you and Gabriella Pultrone for having spent so much time for organizing this a lot of events on different aspects of the problem of sustainability by involving many of the professors of the Mediterranean University, thus showing the interest and the activities carried out in our small but dynamic university. We also have within the program of internationalization some agreements with universities in different parts of the world in which our students which are outgoing and students incoming can exchange the ideas and follow programs on these themes that are so important for the impact on our life and the future of our countries, of the world, in a sense. I would like to spend just some words, so with a short focus on one or two of the aspects that are, in my opinion, most relevant regarding the sustainability goals before starting the session with the first talk. I think that as a university, we are mostly focused on the fourth Sustainable Development Goals of Unesco, in particular the quality education. This is truly important, particularly for us. We are one of the participants of the G8 program, so we are certainly not a third world country, but it is clear that there is a strong difference in the possibilities of accessing education starting from the primary and secondary levels. But the goal of the Agenda 2030 is a plan of action for ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education, and also, of course, promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And this also reflects some overlaps with other sustainable development goals. For example, decent work, the eighth, and economic growth. The role of a university, in particular, the University Mediterranea, is of course starting from high level education to have a pivotal role, also through research, in tackling some of the greatest challenge of our country and not only looking inside. Unfortunately, the pandemic has given us a novel perspective on these aspects. For example, it's no more forgettable the problem of digital divide, and so the opportunity, equitable opportunities, means also having at our disposal the same digital instruments in order to get into education program, like along the last months has been shown. Of course, we have to change our program and also remember our vocation of giving the participating in the public program and in the public discussions in order to give our youth the possibilities to gain relevant skills, and this can help one of the target of the fourth sustainable development goal is the acquiring skills that gives the opportunity to participate as active global citizen. So I think that also if today we will hear about digital sustainable infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, I think that we have to reflect on this aspect, which is relevant for a university. So changing our programs and designing novel programs in order to help young people, because also the program of the European, the so-called recovery funds, is basically a program for the next generation. So we have not to forget that any actions should be developed for giving next generation the equitable and inclusive opportunities to have a life, a quality life. So I just to add a word on one of the activities we are carrying out. In particular, I already have had a talk at the Royal Academy of Spain on the theme of the importance of artificial intelligence for achieving the SDGs. So one very important thing is that we have learned also in this pandemic is the power of data to advance the SDGs. So I wish to say that we are carrying out some work on these subjects. So thank you for your attention. I would like now to start the program. And in particular, the first talk will be given by Giovanna Valverde Stark, which is the Ministro Consejero y Cónsul General de la Embajada de Costa Rica. So thank you very much, Giovanna, for being with us. And so I take the floor.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and I want to thank, as usual, Professor Aragona for this very, very interesting space for the different participants to share good practices in sustainable development. I want to share some of those good practices and some background on Costa Rica's sustainable development model. So I will try and bring up the presentation. Please let me know if you can see the full screen. Can you see it?
No, not yet, not yet. If you have some problem, Gabriella can help you, because I
have the full screen right now with the presentation, with the PDF instead of the PowerPoint. So I don't know.
Don't you worry about Gabriella. Can you try to give us the presentation of Ministra?
Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Try. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
So you cannot see my screen, is that correct?
Now we have
Not yet,
Ministra.
not yet.
I see it. Don't you see it?
Yes, but I guess the question is it because of me or is it because of the professor?
No, it's because of the professor, Professor Pultrone.
Okay.
Can you see? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say go ahead, and she go.
Yes. Okay. So as the Professor Aragona indicated, my name is Giovanna Valverde, and I'm the Ministry Counselor at the Embassy of Costa Rica, and specialized in climate change and smart agriculture, among other things. So I would like to share with you Costa Rica's good practices. Next, please.
Just a moment. Va avanti.
There we go.
Okay.
So a little bit on history on Costa Rica. We're a very small country in the Isthmus of Central America with 52,000 square kilometers and a population of 5.1 million people, of which approximately 1 million are foreigners. So we have one of the highest rates of foreigners in our country per capita. We've been an independent republic for 199 years, and Costa Rica abolished its army in 1948. Next.
I'm going on, but
okay, so here we have a view of planet Earth, and you can see the isthmus. It's an extremely narrow area between North America and South America, where we have 5 different countries, and very exposed to the high impacts of climate change coming both from the Pacific and the Atlantic side. Next.
it goes on very slowly.
Maybe if you want, you can pass it as soon as the next one comes. Go ahead and pass to the next, because
Yes.
since it's very slow.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh. Perhaps
Okay.
so it's
No
better.
worries. That's fine. We can go forward. So how did the abolishment of the army in 1948 change Costa Rica's development model? Well, it was key to deciding that the path that we wanted, and that all the resources, which otherwise would have been dedicated to the military, were in turn focused completely on the health sector with free healthcare for every citizen, as well as on education, making education obligatory and mandatory for everybody. Yes, if you can go ahead, that would be great. And this also allowed for the creation of different government institutions. For example, the Costa Rican Electric Institute, which since its foundation in 1948, it already by law had a mandate to produce as much of its energy from renewable energies. So this was already our vision back in 1948. Are we stuck? Professor Pultrone, there we go. And you can go to the next one as well, please.
The next one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. This.
So this one shows how the Costa Rican Institute for Electricity, since its inception back in 1949, where 14% of the population had access to electricity, was able to arrive at 90% in 1990, and as of last year, 99.53% of the population has access to electricity. Next, please.
Yes, just a moment, please. This
okay, here we have a graphic on the evolution of the energetic production matrix in Costa Rica. As you can see, as of the 90s until 2014, about 72% was of our electricity was generated from hydro electricity, and the next is from geothermal electricity, and then we have some wind farms and biomass, some solar. And what's interesting is that as of from 2014 up to 2015, the vision or the roadmap the country has is to continue to expand with some hydro plants, but mainly from the geothermal sector. Next, please. Okay, this one is in Spanish, but basically what it says is that for the past 4 years, we have generated over 98% of our electricity from renewable energies. And as I mentioned, 72.2% in 2018 was from hydro sector, 16% was from wind farms, 8.9% was geothermal, 0.76 was biomass, and we had 0.09 solar, which we believe is also an area that has much potential to grow forward. Next, please. Next. Okay, so Costa Rica is amongst the top 3 countries in the world known for generating their energy from between 99 to 100% from renewable energies over the past 5 years. Next. This, in line with other social indicators, which I'd like to present here in this graph from United Nations, which presents the Human Development Index, basically shows that Costa Rica between 1990 and 2018 has increased in 21.2% in terms of the indicators that are taken to determine the HDI. And these are the life expectancy rate, the education, and the gross national income per capita. So we are on an uprise. Next, please. Other indicators, according to United Nations, Economic World Forum, and others, indicate that Costa Rica is considered #1 in terms of safety in Latin America, the 3rd country in gender equality in Latin America, Our education system is #1 in Latin America and 28th at a global level, above France, India, China, and the Philippines. And it was ranked last year as the first country for innovation in Latin America. Next, please. Nature in Costa Rica. Well, there we go. In terms of protecting our natural treasures, Costa Rica has become famous over the past, I'd say, 30 years as an ecological country that is protecting its natural resources. And I think it's interesting to share with you the story that although we had a very high rate of deforestation in the end of the 70s, this started to be reverted in the 80s. And we were the first country back in 1997 to actually create a tax on fossil fuels and petrol. And with all the money that was raised with this tax up till today, we created what's called the Payment for Environmental Services. And basically what it does is finance people that are willing to leave their land so that you can have secondary forest come back to grow and increase the forest coverage. And so that's what has permitted us to go for this drastic, radical paradigm shift from the 80s to where we are today of having 70% deforestation in the 70s to where we are right now, which is we have 52% of our territory has forest coverage. So although Costa Rica is extremely small in terms of surface, we're only 0.03% of the planet's surface, we host over 4% of its biodiversity. And 26% of our country is protected and in different categories like national parks, national refuges, reserves, forest and indigenous land, wetlands, plus 26% between private reserves. So the total is what brings us to this 52% of our territory with forest coverage. Next, please. We have, as I mentioned, in the 4% of the global diversity, this incredible diversity of species of amphibians, reptiles, insects, mammals, birds. Next. And the same with the flora. We have quite an extraordinary variety or biodiversity of orchids, vascular plants, and ferns and heliconias. Next, please. And according to the Happy Planet Index, we consider Costa Rica as the happiest country in the world, thanks to its long life expectancy, its natural resources, work opportunities, and gentle people. I could say that we are pretty happy people, so that's true. In terms of what we've done well, the good practices, obviously the protection of our forest coverage and what I've mentioned before in terms of the electric matrix from renewable energies. There are some problems, and we would like to, or decided to affront these in terms of the CO2 emissions, which predominantly come from the transport sector, about 65% as of 2 years ago from the national inventory. So we were the first country to launch our long-term commitment and road path to decarbonizing our economy. Next, please. And so we have decided to focus on where we want to be between now and 2050. Next, please. Our objective is to be a modern, green, emission-free, resilient, and inclusive economy. Next, please. So apart from the national plan, which I'm going to briefly go over, but to give you an idea of what are the areas that we are going to be focusing, I also would like to share with you that we are also committed to the High Ambition Coalition, which is led by our president, Carlos Alvarado Quesada, and President Macron from France, which are seeking to increase the protection of green areas and marine areas all around the world. So in terms of what we're going to focus on and what this can be considered a good practice, if you will, but it's frankly the only way to move forward is with medium and long-term public policies, which obviously must be worked with and put forward, not only from top to bottom, but from bottom to top, from all the citizens, all the civil society, and also cross-cutting between all of the different institutions that have to do with the government. So we are going to focus on the transportation and sustainable mobility, and we want to develop a mobility system based on safe, efficient, and renewable public transport and active and shared mobility schemes, transform the light-duty vehicle fleet to a zero-emissions one that is works only with renewable energies and not fossil origins, promote freight transport that adopts modalities, technologies, and energy sources that emit zero or the lowest possible emissions. Next. The second sector or pillar is energy, green building, and industry, which looks to consolidate the national electric system with the capacity, flexibility, intelligence, and resilience necessary to supply and manage renewable energy at competitive costs. We are looking to develop buildings of different uses, commercial, residential, institutional, under high efficiency standards and low emission processes. We want to modernize the industrial sector through the application of electrical, efficient, and sustainable processes and technologies of low and zero emissions. Next, please. The third area is the integrated waste management, which also looks to improve the integrated waste management system based on separation, reuse, revaluation, and final disposal of maximum efficiency and low greenhouse gas emissions. The fourth sector is agriculture, land use, and nature-based solutions. And this is, the objective is to promote high-efficient agricultural food systems that generate low carbon, local consumption and export goods, you know, like in Italy, the focus on 0 kilometers, for example. We want to consolidate the whole livestock sector so that it becomes a lot more efficient and reduces its greenhouse gases, and consolidate a model of management of rural, urban, and coastal territories that facilitate the protection of biodiversity, the increase and maintenance of forest coverage, and ecosystem services based on nature-based solutions. Next, please. And we are now, next, please. Continuing to expand with all the electric terminals for electric cars. And this is the last part of the national decarbonization plan, but I think it's important to mention it because the focus that we've taken is to not only distinguish the areas where we need to transform the sectors, but also it is vital to have these cross-cutting strategies. For example, we have strengthening the principles of inclusion, respect for human rights, and promotion of gender equality. We have comprehensive reform for new institutionality. The third one is a green tax reform. The fourth is finance and foreign direct investment strategy. Fifth, digitalization and knowledge-based economy strategy. 6, labor strategies for a just transition. Next. 7th, transparency, metrics, and open data strategy. This is something that I believe is very important, and I think you as professors from universities or research centers, the issue of having access to data is vital. And finally, the last one is education and culture strategy, the bicentennial Costa Rica free of fossil fuels. So we hope with this, with our national decarbonization plan, to affect in a positive manner many of the sustainable development goals and the agenda for 2030. Next, and now if you want to go quickly through the next ones, I just want to show you some very nice images from our wonderful country, and I will finish with that.
Okay.
So thank you very much, and my email is there in case anybody would like to contact me. Anyway, thank you very much, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much to you, Ministra Consejera. We hope to meet you again in these meetings. Thanks also to the help of our colleague Stefano and also Gabriella. So I think that possibly a session of question and answer will take place, I think, at the end in the form probably of a discussion, if you agree, Stefano. So I would like to...
Carlo, credo che Federico si sia dovuto assentare.
Allora andiamo con Andrea Torre.
Carlo,
sì.
Federico si è dovuto assentare,
sì,
ci raggiunge alle 6:15.
Ecco, possiamo allora passare alla talk.
D'accordo? Non ti sento.
Ok, io ti ho sentito.
Possiamo ci raggiunge alle 6:15 perché aveva un altro webinar e quindi ci raggiunge più tardi.
Okay. So next talk will be given by Professor André Torre, President of the European Regional Science Association.
Quindi puoi passare ad André Torre.
Ok. I don't know if you are hearing
Il
me.
microfono.
At this moment, I don't know if you are hearing me.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
So,
very good.
Professor Torre, thank you very much for being here with us. So I take the floor.
Thank you very much for your invitation. So I'm very happy to be there, and I'm very happy to share with you a few thoughts about the question of I come back to that. About the question of circular economy. And my talk is about circular economy. I hope that you can see my slides. And my question is about the relation between circular economy and territorial development. So I want to emphasize the thing that now territorial development has become something very important in a lot of regions, but also in a lot of smaller territories all over the world, and a lot of people are concerned with that, not only firms, but also local people, local actors, local stakeholders of different types. So that's become something very important, but now there are new questions related to territorial development. And these questions, they are mainly related to the question of sustainability. We are here for that today. And I can make a short list about that, and it's related first to climate change, of course, but also to the reduction of biodiversity with the 6 massive extinction of species around the world, and also the loss of available land to cultivate on the planet, which is, we are really, really worrying about this strong issue. But also, on the other hand, regarding sustainability, there are the question of raising inequality between people, and also the question of well-being of local populations at different types. So all those issues, be they environmental ones or social ones, are related to the development of human activities And also in the end, the question is it still a good idea to try to develop again? So a few scholars try to cope with these questions of development. Of course, there's the question of sustainable development, the Brundtland report, and the famous 3 pillars of sustainable development, and also in a more recent way, the issue of circular economy, which is a method to break with the linearity of a production process. So I will go on this question of circular economy, and I will try to ask, is it a possible way to help to have a more sustainable development at the local level, and especially about the question of the resources which is at stake. Can we still use these resources or recycle a part of them? So the first idea is about this so-called circular economy for sustainable territorial development, and also, because we are in Europe, as a means of territorialization of our European industry. So the question is very simple. It is how to manage, how to preserve, how to make our resources more sustainable at the territorial level, how to spare and to also to try to recycle them. So circular economy is a possibility, and it is linked to two main streams of thoughts related to sustainable issues at the local level. One is about the question of industrial ecosystems, and that's the idea. I will come back to that. And that's the idea to get closer to how natural ecosystems operate and to reverse the image of industrial activities which have a negative impact on the environment. And that's the idea that those ecosystems, they can mimic, in a way, the functioning of the natural ecosystems. And on the other hand, that's the setting of so-called eco-industrial parks, like the Kalundborg symbiosis. And in these parks, there is a recycle of materials and wastes and of local energy flows, and also cooperation and trust between local actors. So we are there at the core of circular economy, because circular economy can be defined as a way to break with the linear process of production, which comes from inputs to transform goods and then to outputs and wastes, and to break with these logics in integrating the possibility to recycle a part of the output and a part of the waste into the production process. So in a way, this circular economy can be considered as a virtuous example, and also it can be part of a solution because it is supposed to allow reasonable growth on the one hand, and also employment without huge environmental damages at the territorial level. So in a way, that's a manner to cope with sustainable development and to integrate it at a very, very grounded and at a very, very, let's say, pragmatic terms, and be considered as a very pragmatic solution. So this circular economy was introduced since the 90s in several public policies, and it is considered, as I've just said, like a more operational approach to sustainable development. So I don't want to enter into all the details of those policies, but here I've listed a few ones in Germany, in Japan, in China, where there is very, very ambitious program of circular economy in China, with a distinction and promotion on the implementation of circular economy measures at the levels of a firm, of the eco-park, of cities, regions, and countries. Also in Europe, circular economy has been institutionalized in the early 2010s with the creation of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and the publication of a roadmap by the European Commission in 2011. So there are declinations in different places, and also in my country, France, with the creation of the Institute of a Circular Economy and also of a national agency for circular economy. So there are a lot of declination of this hypothesis, which is not only in theoretical terms, it's really applied at the local level because it's a way of very pragmatic intervention. So if we comes on that basis, we can think about thinking around towards a sustainable territorial development and also a territorialization of the industry. And I have to say that in the end, this circular economy has uncertain territorial roots. So this means that its virtues are not so obvious, and we have to assess about them. So I've tried to make a short assessment in this slide regarding the territorial or the local virtue of circular economy. So if we are integrating only recycling, of course, the transport of materials from the recycling can integrate the transport of materials from one place of the planet to the other and have local impacts, so which is not very, very friendly one. So also about the eco-design of the circular economy of the product, it has no proven local dimension. So that's a bit different with the question of responsible consumption and supply applied both to consumers and to firms. So usually it has no local dimensions, but it can also concern short value added chains or short circuit at the local level, proximity value added chains, and then it has a territorial value. And also that's the case of the economy of functionality, and most of all, to the industrial and territorial ecology, because in the approach of industrial and territorial ecology, the stress is put on the loops of materials and energy flows between companies at the local level, so that the waste of some of these companies, of these firms, is used in resources by others. And then these companies can exchange material and energy flows, and they can be really geographically close, but also, of course, this process requires a collective action, and it requires the intentional collaboration of local actors around a common and shared goal. And there, a very good example of that is one example that is very, very well documented nowadays. That's the example of the Kalundborg symbiosis in Denmark. And this is a virtual example of a network of firms recycling and using the outputs one and of another, and they are working at the local level, and they are working in virtuous terms. So this means that there is a process of recycling of the wastes and the operation, and also it is based on a local network of entrepreneurs and innovative firms at the local level. So we need both, on the one hand, the technical flows at the local level, and on the other hand, the local networks of entrepreneurs and innovative firms. One good example of this circular economy is also provided by the methanization practices, and this is a very practical application of circular economy. So what is the methanization process? That's a process where local waste, be there issued from farming or from the wastes coming from a city or so on, they are put into a machine, the name is a methanizer, and then you can feed the system using this method. So in this methanizer, you have a production of biogas product, and this biogas product can be injected in the local gas network, or it can be used for heating of power at the power networks or heating networks at the local level, and it also been transformed into biofuel. Another part of the product is the production of what is called a digestate, and this digestate can be put, or part of it can be put on the soil in order to spread the soil, and can be used for agriculture as well. So in the end, at the end of the day, just a small part of the territorial waste remains and then can be treated in another way or can be put into the ground. But the part which is not used becomes quite small, and that's a very interesting result in the end. So just to conclude, I can say that here I've tried to put some elements about the establishment of an industrial and territorial ecology. And if we look at this issue, we can say that if we want to implement this kind of approach, which I have said is a quite modest approach, but quite efficient as well, I will say, it has to be systemic and it has to be local as well. First, on the one hand, in ecological terms, because it is based on scientific ecology and the study of ecosystems and the part of the imitation of those ecosystems. Second, in industrial term, because it involves the industrial society as a whole, as a production, consumption, agriculture, transport, and so on. All the elements of these ecosystems have to be involved in the process, and also it has to be territorial, because this approach has to be delimited and anchored into a territorial space in order not to transport the waste, for example, from one part of the planet to another, which is completely unsustainable and completely unfair. So we have to encourage collective dynamics in order to try to establish this kind of operation and this kind of circular economy. So thank you for your attention, and I'm very pleased to share it with you.
Thank you very much, Professor Torre. We are very delighted of having attended your insightful and clear presentation. As before, I think that we can move the answer question session at the end of the session. So I would like to introduce the next talk, and the next guest, Professor Wang Xin. I hope having pronounced it correctly the name, who is Vice Dean and Associate Professor at Tianjin Institute of Environment for Sustainable Development. Professor Wang Xin, if you are online, I give you the floor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor. Can you see my desktop? Hello?
Yeah.
I'm sharing my desktop. Can you see it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I will be short, and I'm going to talk about Shanghai's compulsory waste sorting, which is very much linked to just now Professor Andre talked about circular economy. And actually, Shanghai's compulsory waste sorting is only from last July, so almost 1 year ago. And Shanghai citizens are mandatory to separate their trash into 4 categories. And basically, the household waste will be divided into the food waste, or the wet trash, or the recyclable ones, and harmful or toxic ones, and all the other ones goes to the dry or solid waste. So 4 categories. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I was invited by my friends, who is the director of the Greening and Cityscape Bureau of Baoshan District. So if you look at here, the green part is the Baoshan District, which is the home of 2 million people in the north part of Shanghai, and here is the downtown area of Shanghai. So it's actually part of the city area of Shanghai, and he invited me to participate writing the 5 years plan from next year. So another 5 years, how this Baoshan district can what they should do. And we found out that there is a dramatic change of the logistic in this district about waste after the new compulsory sorting system. If you look at this image in the middle, currently almost all the waste goes to this blue point, where the trash are brought by boat to the other side of the river, to Laogang factory, where they will be landfilled. But next year, Baoshan district will build up their own factory to burn all the solid waste. So the logistic will going from the city area to all the way up about 40 kilometers to the north to burn all the waste. So now the trash cars can go very quickly to the blue points and go on the boats and go to landfill, but from next year, it will go all the way to the north part. So then they will have to rearrange all the logistic. They will find there is a difficulty to find the parking lots for the new vehicles to deliver all this waste. So so it is suddenly becoming a kind of urban design, urban planning issue. So my background is urban design and architecture. So he invited me to participate to get a more clear plan about how the waste sorting law will change in the land use, how it will be linked to the local urban development. Actually, in China, the volume of the waste is growing very quickly, and in Shanghai, in 2018, the household waste generated is about 9 million tons that year. And if you look at this image, this is Shanghai. This is the whole Shanghai, and the east part, we have a very centralized waste treatment plant, and that is called the Laogang solid waste base. And almost 70% of the Shanghai's waste will be taken by boat to this Laogang base and landfilled. But during the past 10 years, Shanghai has established some incineration factories in the Jiading district, and but still most of the waste will go through the rivers and finally goes to the Laogang base for landfill. This image shows the master plan of the Laogang base. So the old port phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of landfill site are full and also being closed, and they are Laogang providing the fourth landfill site, which is the 313 hectare. And also Laogang built up a waste incineration plant. The first phase is 3,000 per day, and this year the new one will have the second phase will have the 6,000 tons capacity per day. So it's becoming the largest incineration plant in Asia. And also you can see there is a biogas plant, and also there are wind farms. So all in these places along the East Sea, and that is a very, very large base for Shanghai. And Shanghai from last year, before the law enforcement of the waste sorting, separation, there is a very strong publicity about this requirement. So people used to just throw their waste into the trash bin, and then everything will be taken away to the landfill. But from the last year, before the law enforcement, everybody can see the posters, can notice from the TV medias, and even on the government's website, you can check which type of the waste should go which type of the trash bin. So there is a very strong publicity in Shanghai before the law was enforcement. And actually in 2018, so 1 year before the law enforcement, President Xi Jinping also visited Shanghai and say that waste sorting is the new fashion. So it's like everybody understands, everybody knows that there is a requirement from the government that we have to separate our waste into the 4 categories. And from July the 1st last year, Shanghai municipal government has made a very clear waste sorting requirement. And Shanghai is the first city in China has this compulsory waste sorting system. So it will inform and guide all the other cities in China. So enforcing the waste sorting is actually expensive. So you can see in this image, in the living compound, in China, in Shanghai, most people living in the apartment, high-rise apartment, and in there it is a gated area, which is not too bad during the pandemic. So you can easily control the people going in and going out, and then you have to build up the new space for the people to putting their waste into the 4 category. And in the beginning, there is a attendant who will stand beside this place and helping you to separate your trash. And when he's not there, he will lock the trash bins, and so it will create it a little bit inconvenient for the residents and community. Representatives has called the local volunteers to come forward. So when he's not there, there is volunteers there, and people will be fined between 50 to 200 RMB if they breaking the rules. And this is one of the typical very large living compound in the downtown areas. And within this living community, there is about 40,000 residents. So they need a very they have a long discuss inside this community to decide how they can build up how they will design, pick up the locations, how to design their trash separation base inside the community. And there are several of these places in this living community. And you can see here where this man is standing is actually a space for the people who they will for the people living here throw their interior decoration trash. So like they throw their sofa or throw their table if they don't need it anymore. So there is so not only the household but also the big, we call it the big waste. They can put it here. And these are the typical newly built trash separation stations inside the other communities, and which is important as Francisco just talked about. That most of this trash point will have this CCTV as a digital camera, who will watch if the people are not doing the things correctly, and they will send you. They will make some sound, and they will alert you that you are not dropping your trash in the right time or in the right trash bin. And if you look at the left, this very big screen is in the Pudong district government, and the whole Shanghai is building up the one network management platform. So in each level of the government, they will have a big screen, and all the informations about urban or city management, like the trash or traffic or population flow. So all these things are their information will be shown in this big screen. So for the mayors or for the district government people, they will have good data to understand what is happening. So, say for instance, there are if some people have thrown if some of the trash points are out of the control, the data will show that there are less wet waste has been separated, and then it will be shown in the screen, and people will know that compared to the last week or compared to the last months, the data is not correct and something must be wrong. So it's kind of there is a network inside the government to watch what is happening in the city. And this kind of the new compulsory waste sorting has created more new opportunities for the designers also. And this guy is an Italian designer, and Gabriel Tempesta. He designed these really looking good trash bins for the local community, and you can see compared to the most of the trash bins, these ones are more nicely looking, and also they have a sliding door for the people, electrical sliding door, and they're also designing the new trash bins along the street. And not only for the living communities, but also for the shops along the street, the government are putting up people using these electrical bicycles to collecting the trashes from the shops in a certain time in a day. So the shops will come out and give their trash to this collector, and he will bring this to the waste transfer station in each of the neighborhood. And in the downtown area of Shanghai, there is a very limited land, and people always say, not in my backyard. So they don't like this waste transfer station. government has to find the smarter ways, and so they are building up the transport station semi-underground or almost underground, and also closed. And above the transfer station, there will be green parks. So there the waste sorting is changing the logistic. So there are more vehicles, and also they need to have more transfer stations, and they have to find land and more integrated with what the community need. And after that, the transfer station, they were using the bigger trucks, using these containers when they compressed all the waste and deliver them to the wharf, to the pier. And then by the boat, they will finally shipping to the Laogang area for the final treatment. So this is the way how the logistic from the very small electrical bikes to the bigger trucks, and then compressed, and to the containers, and then to the boat. So it is kind of logistics need to be rearranged after the waste separation. So this shows how these containers, the 20 feet containers to shipping the compressed waste to the Laogang base in Pudong area. And this is the pier in the Laogang base in the Pudong by the sea, and you can see they are burning the waste. And this is the second phase of the Laogang incineration plant, and it provided 6,000 tons per day capacity, and it also combined the function as a museum for the public education. So people go there and they have a tour, and they understand how the city is treating the trash. And for the recyclable waste, it is more decentralized system. And in each of the district governments and even the lower government, which called the neighborhood government, they will build up recycling points. So like this blue box, and government has encouraged the local sanitation workers, so who are taking care of the trash bins. So they will also collecting the high value recyclable waste. So they will drove the electrical bikes, the 3-wheel bikes, into this blue box, and then they get on the weight, and they can sell the high value recyclable waste, such as the metal or the cardboard, and for the other low value recyclables, the government will offer subsidies to make the collections. And the separation of the waste is also stimulated the innovation in the treatment of the different type of the waste. So one of the university in Shanghai, Jiao Tong University, is working with the community government, and they provided this very small machine, which is specially to treat the vegetables waste in the wet market. So in the morning you buy your food, buy your vegetables, and the waste in the wet market will go next door to here, and then they are treating this vegetable waste in this machine. And on the top right, this ones is the much bigger factories where they will treating the household kitchen waste. When after the separation, they will deliver this kitchen waste to this place. So, but but this compared to the Laogang base, is still very decentralized, very small factories. And so after the separation of the waste, there is R&D in different sectors, like the R&D in the organic waste, how to treat them, and how to treat the kitchen waste, how to recycle the oil from the food waste. And also, if you look at the below, is in the for the household, if they do some interior renovation, they will have the building decoration waste, and Shanghai also building up the waste treatment plant for these building decoration materials. So there is the industry of recycling or treat different type of the waste after the compulsory waste sorting law is booming. So if I don't know how Italy is separating their trash and how they are treating different type of the waste. If there is good technology, they can have a good opportunity also to apply here in Shanghai. Thank you for your attention. This is all my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your work. I have to leave this meeting, so I think Stefano will take the place. Goodbye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Grazie. Francesco, grazie molto. E allora, thank you very much, Francesco. So thank you very much. So I introduce President Vincenzo. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, so I'm introducing President Vincenzo Lunarello of the GOEL, the cooperative group. It's a very relevant group, cooperative group in Regione Calabria, and it's very relevant because it's for the renovation and to underline the relevant power of the social cooperation and to emphasize the social aspect, not only the economic one. So I give him the speech, and I say very much thanks, because I know that he's very busy, because they have, I think, about 200 of different society in your cooperative. So I give you the speech. Thank you again. I don't hear. I don't hear. Can you hear him? I don't hear. Antonio, tu lo senti? Antonio?
No, non lo sentiamo, non lo sentiamo.
No, I'm sorry, but we don't know. We don't hear you.
Provi a rimuovere quello.
Presidente.
Provi a rimuovere quello. Provi a usare il microfono.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah, now it's okay. Now it's very good. Okay, go ahead. Thank you very much again.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and I am the president of this cooperative group. We are not 100 of organization, but we are only 12 social cooperatives, 2 farmers cooperative, 2 voluntary service organizations, 1 little foundation, and 29 farmers. We born for a political and cultural objective, because we would like to help to start a changement process in Calabria. And to realize this, we think that the best way is try to propose a new model of social and ethical economy. Because, of course, in Calabria, one of the big problems for changement is mafia, 'ndrangheta. And 'ndrangheta in our territory try to obtain consensus from the people, let the people thinking that they are the only economic resource in the territory. Of course, this is not true, it's a big lie, but it's for this that we decided to make a challenge, to demonstrate that ethics is not only a fair way, but it's the most effective way. And then you understand that if ethics is not only fair way, but the most effective way, 'ndrangheta is not only bad, but is useless. And to demonstrate that economic system of mafia is useless is the biggest delegitimation that we can create against 'ndrangheta, against mafia. Well, for this reason, Goel tried to be a model of ethics in all sides, in all aspects of our activity. We work in many sectors because we would like to be a little model of possible development in Calabria. Then we have social project. Of course, we are social cooperatives. Then we are engaged with social services, health services. For example, we work to help minors coming from families with disease. And we help these minors because 'ndrangheta would like to enroll them to become their soldier. After we host the migrants coming from Africa because we think the immigration process is a big resource for development of this region. And after health services, we work with the people with mental illness. But after we decided also to realize enterprises that go to private market, and but ethical in all aspects. For example, we created the first responsible tourism tour operator in Calabria. We realize incoming tourism packets in Calabria about ecological tourism, organic agro-food tourism, cultural tourism, and the ingredients of our tourism packets are all made by enterprises that decided to be against 'ndrangheta, to be against mafia. Because to demonstrate that ethics is not only right but effective, we need to help enterprises that made right choose, fair choose to stay against this mafia. And then we involve them inside our packets, tourism packets. Another sector of activity is fashion. Why fashion? Because in Calabria we have a big old tradition of hand woven with handlooms. In Occident, the handlooms born in all the big Greek, Magna Graecia. And then this big tradition characterized Calabria until now, but now is disappearing. Then we wanted to sell it. And then with a group of young women weavers, we started a travel in our territory to reach this whole teacher that know how to set the handlooms. The name of this whole teacher is Magistre. Magistre are the programmers of the handlooms, and they saved the mathematical settings of the handlooms during the centuries, learning songs where in the rhymes is hidden the mathematical settings of the handlooms. Then they sing to us these songs, we recorded it, and after we transferred these mathematical settings on the papers, because to set an handloom is necessary 1,200 yarns in precise mathematical orders. And then we saved this old tradition of fabrics with the texture coming from Byzantine culture and old Greek culture. The problem is the economic sustainability of this cultural saving operation. Because, you know, to make 1 meter of handmade fabric is necessary from 3 to 6 hours of work. Then you think this work, paid well with a fair wage, is necessary a big price for these fabrics. Then we think that the only sector can pay a fair wage for this handmade fabrics is high fashion, high sector of fashion. Then we created in Italy the first ethical high fashion brand. The name is Cangiari. Cangiari means in our local language cambiare, to change. And we realized all production chain here in Calabria, but the showroom for trading our collection, women collection of high fashion is in Milano, in a confiscated apartment to the mafia in Milano, because of course, you know, Drangheta is infiltrating in the north of Italy and also around in Europe. Well, this brand is the first ethical high fashion brand in Italy. Then the sustainability. We are the only one high fashion brand that make only organic certified garments and clothes. And then ethics is not only for the producer, because the producer in this case is a social cooperative where the women are members and then owners of the brand, but also the organic materials certified of our clothes, of our garments. Well, another activity of Goal Group is Goal Bio. Goal Bio is the sector of agriculture sector of Goal Group. All it started from the help requesting of some farmers in the territory. In this territory, Ndrangheta Mafia tried to control also the rural area, and then they attacked the farmers, burning the fields or with stolen or with many treatments. Then these farmers some years ago come in Goal and asked to us to help them, to protect them. Why they asked to help them, to protect them? Because of course Ndrangheta attacked Goal Group in these years. We had an average of 2-3 attacks from mafia per year, but we learned how to defend ourselves, because Ndrangheta don't want to be very known in the public opinion, don't want media. They learned from the experience of Sicilian mafia, and they understand that it's not good for their business, for their criminal business to be very known in the public opinion. Well, we created in Goal Cooperative Group a strong communication office, and then when they attacked us, we answer with a strong public media campaign, and they stop and not try again to attack us. Well, we put all these farmers together in one cooperative, and we created the first label of farmers free from mafia, free against mafia, and this label is Goal Bio. Of course, this is for protect them, because when the mafia attacked one of them, know that they are not lonely, that all community of Goal Group answer in this situation. But we would like also to demonstrate that they made a good choice. And then we see inside the local agriculture production chain, what is the situation. And we see a disaster, because, for example, when we created the Goal Bio Cooperative, there was a price for the oranges. The first price for the oranges for the producers was 5 cents, 10 cents for kilos. You understand that this is not a sustainable price for the farmers. Well, we rebuilt all production chain. We organized it so well, give efficiency in all the chain, and also created our trading office without intermediaries, without traders, and we obtained a big result. Now we pay to the farmers for the organic oranges 45 cents per kilo, the best price ever paid for the oranges in Calabria. We receive now, today, the best price for the organic oranges in Calabria today, the farmers that are against mafia. For the first time, become convenient to be against mafia. And then this is the concept of effective ethics, not only right ethics, but effective ethics. After, of course, circular economy, because circular economy is in the tradition of the people of Calabria. The tradition of the people of Calabria is a rural tradition, and we learned in our DNA the circular economy. And then we recreated this, this system of circular economy. I tried to explain the 0.5%, for example, of the oranges that we harvest from the trees of our fields is not good to become fresh fruit for the supermarket, because they are not perfect, are too small or too big. And then what we can do with this waste, good waste, organic waste, we created the first workshop to make orange juice only organic in Calabria. Why we created another production of organic orange juice? Because we would like to work also with the small quantities that are wasted in the center of, in the logistics center for the fresh fruits. And there was not in Calabria any workshop that worked only with organic fruits, and we created the first one. If I use 100 kilos of oranges to produce juice, I obtain 35 kilos of juice and 65 kilos of waste. The name of this waste in Italian is pastazzo. Pastazzo is a special waste that needs a special treatment, because pastazzo not become compost. Then this is because in the oranges there are also essential oils that stop the process of transforming in compost. Then we created some special machine to extract from the waste the essential oils. Then now we produce organic essential oils. And then the waste without essential oils can be compost or can be used as food for animals. With essential oil and with virgin olive oil, because we produce also extra virgin olive oil, but sometimes we obtain a small part of virgin olive oil. With organic virgin olive oil and citrus essential oils, we created in the territory a workshop to make organic cosmetics. And then we made organic cosmetics with essential oil and with virgin olive oil. Who worked in this workshop where we made the cosmetics? The minors that become adult, coming from our community, social services. And then in this way, we give them a possibility to work in the territory where there are 50% of young employment. Then the circular economy is not only for ecological sustainability, but also for social sustainability, because ethics is global, is not only for ecology and not for social. The new concept of circular economy, of effective ethics, is a circular economy for social and ecological sustainability. Well, I stop because maybe I take much time, but I think it's sufficient to give an idea of our work.
So thank you very much, President Linarello. Just to say thank you for everything you are doing. And you are very good example, good practice of circular economy, horizontal linkage, and development of global and local. You are a very good example of all of that. Yeah, it's true. And please go ahead with your work, with your job. We don't have time to talk more about your experience because you are now, it's just left 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes left. So I give the speech to Federico Butera that went back, came back. And so President Lunarello, thank you very much again. And if you can stay with us for this minute, we're very happy. Thank you.
Sorry, I need to go away, but after we can talk about by phone. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your saying. Thank you very much for your speech. Federico, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Very short.
I'll be very short. Less than 10 minutes, I told you. Let me see if I can share my screen, first of all, and hoping that I can do it. There's always some problem in doing it. Can you see it? Of course, no.
No, not yet.
No, as usual. Let me see what's going on. No,
yeah, now I think it's working.
Wait a second. What about now?
No, not yet.
What about now?
No, nothing.
There isn't. It's usual. I can't understand why.
Nothing.
Never works. Let me see the other way. Where is it? Share the screen. And this is my screen. Now it should
maybe
go.
it's work now. Yeah. Now it was working.
Is it
just for a minute, for a second?
What about now?
No, nothing.
Oh Christ! It's incredible. Let me try again. For the last time, it's what I have to do is again share screen. Open it. No. Share screen. No. Wait. Let me. Okay.
Yeah, now it works. Yeah, now it's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now it's working.
Is it full?
Yeah.
Full screen?
No, not full. Not full, but go ahead in this way. Doesn't matter. No, now there isn't.
Oh Christ! Start again.
Yeah.
What about now?
No, nothing.
Yeah. I don't know how to manage. It's always this problem with the teams. Now it's okay. Now the screen is. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
I can't hear you now. What's going on? What is going on? I can't hear you.
Yes, it works. We can see it.
Okay, look what I do now. Instead of putting full screen, I just modify the visualization. Let's see if, can you see it? Do you see it? Hello?
Yes, we see it.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let's start then. Okay, this is the first slide. We're talking about the goal 11 actually, and very short let's say, highlights of what should a sustainable community be. First of all, let's consider these few data. Cities, or let's say, generally speaking, settlements, are big aggregators of materials and nutrients. They are incredible because they consume 3/4 of natural resources, almost 2/3 of food production. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And
Yeah, we can.
they produce 50% of global waste and something between 60 and 80%, according to the sources, of greenhouse gas emission. And what we have to consider that urbanization is growing. We are 55% now, we will be 68 in 2050. That means that the weight of settlements on the overall problem of climate change, diversity reduction, and generally speaking, environmental degradation, they are really in the foreground. But why that? The reason is of urban metabolism, and the way that usually we don't consider it usually. Let's have a very, very simplistic, I would say, look to the present metabolism of cities or settlements. You know, you have an input of goods, food, energy, and water. That is basically. And what comes out after some processing is a small amount of goods or food produced, if any, a lot of emissions, a lot of organic and inorganic waste. This is the picture of metabolism. Let's consider, first of all, the metabolism about the emissions. What we usually do, let's go luckily before, what usually we do is to consider this part here, is consider energy as the only source of CO2. So if I burn some oil or gas or coal, I produce CO2. If I use electricity, even if it is not produced within the borders of the community, I generally take it into account and add to that. So what we say is this is the amount of emissions that we have, but it is not correct. The reason is that each good and all the food that we import in the city, they have an embodied CO2 content. They, in order to be produced, they required some CO2 or, let's say, greenhouse gas, generally speaking, which is especially true for food. So what has been developed relatively recently is a different approach than the usual one. Usual one has been called like production-based greenhouse gas emissions. Why production? Because it's the amount of emissions that I produce within the borders of my settlement. But what is important is how much I consume, because considering that that particular good, from the fridge to the car to the TV set, would have not been built, and therefore there should not have been any emission if I, as a citizen, was not using it or asking for it to use. Things would have been completely different. So the correct approach for emissions is that we have to consider the consumption-based, which, as you can see in definition there, is the production-based emissions plus the emissions of imported goods, services, and food, minus, to be correct, the emissions of the goods that we export from the city, because they should be on charge of the other cities that receive them. You know what this means? A calculation was made by the network C40. Is a network of the most important and biggest cities in the world. There are about 100. they calculated, made the calculation of the production-based and consumption-based emissions, and what came out was that the amount of emissions, the production-based, the one that usually are considered in the inventories made by our cities, was only 22% of the total, because 78% of the emissions were all embodied in goods and food, and to a certain extent also in water. You know what that means? That when they say Hamburg will be zero carbon in 2040, okay, zero carbon what? Zero carbon production or zero carbon consumption? It's completely different. And unfortunately, what they usually mean is production, not the rest. So we have to consider, but there's something else. Let's go into food. Into food, we have a big responsibility to consider that, as I told before, 70% of food is consumed in, food produced all over the world is consumed in cities, and this will be 80% in 2050. But what happens with this food? This food, to produce it, we had to put fertilizers, pesticides. There was some land use change with a lot of problems also with the impact on climate change, water, all issues that are very important in terms of the damage their change makes to the environment and with the impact that these items have on biodiversity loss. But what happens that this food we eat is full of the nutrients that were put on the soil, which is fertilizer of any kind. These nutrients of fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphorus, and so on, then is in the waste. We find it in our waste. This waste, once upon a time, was returning to the field almost entirely. So the amount of artificial fertilizer was none, because there was not, by the way. But today, we use a lot of artificial fertilizer we produce in our factories, and then these nutrients are just thrown away instead of being recycled. Well, presently only less than 2% is recycled, and there are ways of recycling it very, very easily and in a very convenient way. So just to go towards the conclusion, a settlement to be sustainable should minimize, first of all, the input of flow of materials and embodied emissions. Should use energy, which should be renewable, of course, to reduce or put to zero the emissions, say the produced emissions. Should close the nutrient cycle in order to reduce the impact of agriculture on biodiversity loss. Because, by the way, agriculture is the main driver of biodiversity loss in the world. What that means in more precise ways, that we have to talk about circular economy. Just in the previous which I heard that it was mentioned. What I mean with the circular economy. Circular economy, there are two ways. One is the circularity of the technical nutrients, and the other one is the circularity of biological nutrients. When I say technical nutrients, I say that each good enter in the city should, before being thrown away, first of all repaired, then reused, then refurbished, and only at the end of these steps, which means that the goods last far more, then be recycled in order to make them rebirth somehow. And the same is for biological nutrients, where you should, some of it should be used for different aims, but mainly what is the food waste, and the food waste and the black water and so on should go to a digester in order to produce biogas on one side, and with the remaining part, which is the slurry, that can be slightly modified and becomes a very good fertilizer. So in this way, you close the cycle with the land. Of course, when we talk about having a circular economy with goods, we are saying stop consumerism, because if all goods last a lot, if they are designed as they should in such a way that they last a lot, are repairable, reusable, and so on, consumerism is dead. How can be this? Could this combine with our present economic system? Conclusion, what should we do then? What are the main messages of all that? One, we have to stop to buy things that we use only once a year. Let's share these goods that we use rarely. Repair, repair, repair. Produce less. Instead of producing goods, let's repair them, and your employment goes to manship, craftsmanship instead of the factories. Use renewables, less meat.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Federico.
Finished? Okay, I finished. Agroecology, circular economy, and stop consumerism. That's all, and this was my last slide.
I think that this afternoon it's a very interesting, because a red line that are connecting all the speeches that we have had. So we don't have time. So I give, the speech to Francesco Passarelli, Vice Major of Bivongi, and it's very interesting, intriguing, because we are started with a nation, Costa Rica, and now we are with a small town in the south of Calabria. And so just to say that global and local can be exist if the digital divide and the accessibility is overcome. So please, Francesco, go ahead. It's your time. Thank you very much. I don't hear anything. I still see the PowerPoint of Federico. Not yet. Now it's okay. I see. Okay, but I don't hear anything. You are without voice. Antonio, tu senti?
No, purtroppo non lo sentiamo.
Io neanche. Io vedo ma non sento. Non sentiamo nulla. Non potete fare la connessione come faccio io con lo smartphone? Perché anch'io ho dei problemi col computer. Uso lo smartphone per connettermi. No. Ecco, adesso si sentiva qualcosa.
No, sono io. Siamo rimasti in
sì,
qua.
sì.
Siamo rimasti in 4 perché è uscito, deve rientrare.
Sì, ho capito.
Siamo
Infatti,
rimasti noi 4 qui, gli altri.
No, sì, l'Inarello mi aveva detto che doveva andare via e mi ha mandato un messaggio di ringraziamento.
Sì, anche gli altri hanno salutato. Se vedi i partecipanti ora.
Sì, no, è che, vabbè, poi ti dico, è una cosa strana che mi arrivano i messaggi su un'altra un'altra pagina. Non so come mai.
Sono quelli della chat e quelli che mandano solo a te, forse.
A me dispiace che loro non riescano a parlare. Proviamo.
Leggi i messaggi di Antonio. Ecco, ora vediamo, speriamo che si sente.
Ma non si sente. Adesso sì.
Can you hear me?
Adesso vi sentiamo.
Ok.
Andate un po' veloci, però.
Okay, I forward the greetings of the Mayor Vincenzo Valenti, and I thank all the participants and especially Professor Aragona for organizing this activity together with the university. Bivongi, during its recent past, has been among the most active for good sustainability practices in South Italy. Of course, today there's many problems to face, but I will briefly present the area in this small town between the Ionian coast and the Serre Mountains since 10th century, hidden behind the hills of Mount Consolino and renowned for the intense activity of sericulture, from which derives its Greek name of Bovonges. Located in the Stillaro-Byzantine Valley, Bivongi is even among the blue areas of the planet for its longevity and enviable psychophysical form of older inhabitants, in particular for a series of environmental and specific socio-cultural factors. Actually, the territory has a very strong environmental value with a significant presence of special and protected areas, further enriched by excellent historical, archaeological, and naturalistic resources. Moreover, the area is included in the regional natural park of Calabrian Serre, where biodiversity is protected by important morphological and climatic characteristics. Over the centuries, the Stilaro River has been among the main and most important resource for sustainable use of water for irrigation, industrial processing, and development of renewable energy long before other major areas of the country, like Turin, for example, Reggio Calabria and others, where they would use still gas. We briefly mentioned even the artisanal thermal water establishment of Bivongi and its hydroelectric power plant dated in 1914, without forgetting the Marmarico waterfalls, among the highest of South Italy, where another hydroelectric power plant was built in 1929. Not last, the various Greek mills along the river, the archaeological site of Chiesavecchia and Ferdinandea, ancient villages of workers associated to the mines, the tanneries of Fiera Mosca, the molybdenum flotation plant. Finally, for more than 7th century, Bivongi was under jurisdiction of the Carthusian monastery of Santi Apostoli, on the other side of the Stilaro River, from where the abbot managed economic and agricultural activities of the area, decisive aspects of our historical and social heritage linked to industrial archaeology and material culture. For all these reasons, the Stilaro River must be experienced and administered as a natural and economic resource by analyzing, planning, managing over time in order to preserve and renew its great potential also from a tourist cultural point of view. The idea is to discover and re-evaluate the territory as a specific place for protection and conservation of biodiversity, even in a way to raise awareness of such a naturalistic and environmental heritage, especially in regional and local policies. Therefore, the administration of Bivongi is looking towards good practices, networking and relating to other realities of the world in a way to implement development processes linked to the principles of eco-sustainability, agricultural and artisan production, renewable energy, also as an improvement of tourist services with concrete economic effects over the territories involved. In other words, a strategy based on protection and enhancement of the landscape, mainly supported by local policies, cultural and environmental heritage, able to develop all those processes connected to sustainable tourism with a positive influence over local communities and the quality of life. The problem today concerns three main aspects. One of the first problems that the small towns and villages like Bivongi experience is that in the last years, the Italian government started transferring less economic funds to us, and we are not able to invest in good, sustainable practices, mainly for what concerns development of a hydroelectric power plant, where the region wasted 10 years before bringing ahead all the VAT and permissions and authorizations. On the other hand, many local administrations cannot do it by themselves. So we need to network. We need to have a guide to answer to all the calls of the European community, because we have a difficulty to put together these international partnerships. And even though we have very, very important resources, so we need help and even a collaboration scientifically with the universities is fundamental to give a start up to all this development. And then finally, regional policies and relative bureaucratic aspects don't help us to follow up the European guidelines for what concerns participating to all this system. So if we find the answers to these three questions, South Italy and all the small villages that are very rich under every kind of point will be able to believe in a future and battle to obtain the development that we need before disappearing. So I thank you all, and especially Professor Aragona and all the participants of this meeting online.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Francesco. Thank you all of you, because we don't have time. It's too late to add something. But I want just to say that I'm very proud to have you as all speakers, and I think that everyone has talked about some different aspect, but always in the same attention to the integrated approach to the territory and the problems of the and the opportunity of the territory and the problems. And so thank you very much. Thank you, Zhang, Wang Xin. Thank you, Francesco Passarelli, Gabriella Pultrone, and all the other people, Giovanna Valverde, Federico Butera, Andrea Torre, President Linarello, and so all of you. And thank you, Gabriella Pultrone, that helped me to this effort. Thank you to Antonio Zara, that has supported us for this for this event, and thank you for the next time. Tomorrow we have the last event that is open to the educational and school aspect, other good experience that are present in Calabria. As we have seen in Calabria, as before President Linarello has shown, over Goel has shown us that there are a lot of good things, good practices, and on the line that Andrea Torre, the president of ERSA, has shown us putting in front the territories and the circular economy and the use of waste, as Wang before has shown us. So I think that we have a lot of good experience, and especially remembering that we need time. And as Minister Valverde of Costa Rica has shown us that they have started in the 70s. And so we don't think, we cannot think that in a few also decades we can change the paradigm of the industrial town. We are on like if we were on a wave, and we are make I mean like on the board of the wave, and we don't know how long it will take, but in between, I mean, after 50 years, people will say, oh, they are changing the world, but they didn't know that. But we started to change the world in 1972 when there was a limit to growth, and it will a huge and long period of change, but also of opportunities. And remembering that is we need to overcome some digital divide, some difficulty to accessibility, also material accessibility. But, and I'm really closing, if you think the new Green Deal, if you think about what is the agenda United Nations 2030 and what is doing our government here in Italy, we can be we can have hope. So thank you very much to all of us, all of you, and so next time, and I hope that we'll see tomorrow. If Gabriella wants say something.
It's too late. I'd like to thanks everyone and see you tomorrow, I hope. Bye bye. Thank you.